Well, hello, class of 2020, graduating class of 2020, graduating class of SARIC 2020. My name's Royden Trainor. I'm a graduate of SARIC. Now, a few years ago, maybe more than a few years ago, in 1984. And a lot has changed since then. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about what has changed and what might change in the time between now and the time that your son and daughter or relative graduates in 20 or 30 years' time. I wanted to take an opportunity to say congratulations, but also take an opportunity to talk a little bit about what's next and what I've experienced since I was in the same seat you were in. We get to do it in a little different way today, and you're doing everything a little bit differently these days. So I'm going to do it in a very casual way, because I want this conversation to be a conversation between you and me. For the time being, let's put the teachers aside and your parents aside. Let's just you and I talk. I've had the great honor today to take an opportunity to speak with you a little bit about what's next, and to acknowledge and express enormous gratitude to you for persevering, for achieving, for hanging together, for taking care of each other, and for achieving the success not only that you've achieved to date, but the success you'll achieve in the future. You know, I very much worried when I was in your shoes whether or not I would ever get to my graduation. I was one of those students that was diagnosed a little late, frankly, of having a learning disability. A learning disability that many people said is going to prevent me from going to university, and it didn't. Prevent me from going to law school, and it didn't. Prevent me from achieving a successful and dynamic career, and it didn't. And when I think about all the things that made that happen for me, it comes back to right where you are now. It comes back to the community of support that was built around me. It came back to believing in myself. It came back to some special teachers who understood that there's more than one way to learn. There's more than one way to see the world. There's more than one way to process information. And you walk into a world today where all of those same wild challenges of pandemics, of racism, of cultural division are facing you. But I have never been more optimistic about what can be achieved with the power of positive human intervention and of community support and kindness. You know, if the pandemic has taught us anything, it has taught us to be innovative. It has taught us to be creative. And in the best of us, it has taught us to take care of each other. And when we look to the triumphs and challenges you have faced, I believe you will look back at this time as being one of those moments which helped to find you. It helped to find you because you did overcome. It helped to find you that in a world where technology sometimes separates us and was continuing to separate us, during this crisis of the pandemic, it has pulled us together when applied in the right way. You folks have achieved already greater things than my class ever did. You've come through a pandemic, and you've built a community of interest. You've taken care of each other. You've found new innovations and new ways to achieve your graduation. You've taken the stings of losing your graduation ball and your graduation ceremony, and you've turned it into something new, and to something different, and to something that allows you to succeed. And I have to tell you, those are the very things we need now more than ever. Recently, in a commencement speech, former President Barack Obama told a graduating class that this class, 2020, has before it the greatest opportunity to drive social change, social innovation, and social progress than has ever taken place before. Now that's an interesting thing to say when we see all around us the great challenges that we're facing. We are seeing the scab of racism and division be ripped off. We have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. And I am so excited that as challenging and as upsetting as some of these issues are, that we have people like you who are prepared to take those issues on. Not with fake news or Twitter, but to take it on with truth. Take it on with the values and the knowledge and the sense of community that you've built right here in Port Hawkesbury. You know, I've had a chance in my own career to work in Toronto and Vancouver. I've actually done work in New York and Chicago, and I always come home, and many of you will. And even if you do not come back necessarily, as I have, back to Nova Scotia, you will recall that what has allowed you to succeed, what has made you powerful, what has made you successful, has been tying on to the values that you learned in your own community. And I am hopeful, as we look to the future, that we'll allow more and more coming together, more and more focusing on the needs of community and each other, and more of understanding that social justice is not something we have to wait for, it's something we have to fight for. You know, one of my greatest, the greatest speakers of all time, in my view, was Martin Luther King, who said at one time in his career, before his death, that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. Your generation, this graduating class, has an opportunity to grab that arc of history and bend it closer to justice than it has been in the past. And we'll be there with you. But it's not a time to be silent. Other classes, other graduating classes, maybe my own, had the luxury of sitting on our hands too long, of being quiet too long in the face of very serious challenges. We don't have that luxury anymore. Sadly, you don't have that luxury anymore. We know that papering over social problems and challenges will not succeed and will not be sustained. Now I know that's a bit of a serious stuff to start talking about at your graduation. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry you've lost your graduation ceremony and your graduation ball. But in every moment in history, there's an opportunity to take something which is, by every definition, bad, and turn it into something good. You know, I believe that if we look at the racial tension and understand what's going on, not only in the United States, but in our own community, that there's a turning point for us. And that turning point is galvanized by the fact that we're seeing millions of people around the world coming together to say enough is enough is enough, and we're going to do something about it. That's exciting. And at every point in your life, there is going to be that choice. We can take the bad and make it worse. We can take the bad, or we can make it better. And I believe that people from Port Hawkesbury can be those people to make it better. And then when we go through our own challenges, our triumphs and our failures, that what keeps us whole is remembering where we came from and who we are. You are a remarkable class. Can't have a graduating ceremony in the traditional way? You used the airport. Who would have thought of that? Can't have a guest speaker come in and give you a teleprompted special speech? We'll find someone right from your hometown to talk to you electronically or through this videotaping. There is a solution for every problem. I believe there's a solution for every problem. I was brought up that way. I had to do that because as a learning disabled child, a kid with dyslexia, the world was not going to work for me the way the world was designed. So we had to make new ways to design it. The challenge before you now is to make new ways, to design new pathways, new roadways. And don't accept, as I couldn't accept, that because there was only one way of doing things, it was not necessarily the right way of doing things. That there are more than one way to accomplish a good thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And I'm asking you to grab that challenge, to grab that mantle, and to move it forward. You know, Martin Luther King also had a great phrase that I think I would end off with. And his phrase was, if you cannot fly, then run. If you cannot run, then walk. If you cannot walk, then crawl. But you must keep moving forward. Some of that will take you to universities. Some of it will take you to community colleges. Some of it will take you around the world and back home. Some of it will take you to the trades or staying in the community and doing other work. But all of it needs to take you to humanity and dignity and being good people. And I'm asking you to be the light. I'm asking you to be a light to shine it into the darkness. People from Port Hawkesbury can do that very well because they take care of each other. They care about each other. They say thank you and they hold the door. But holding the door is not enough, my friends. We must open the doors of opportunity to everyone we deal with, to everyone of every race, creed, sexual orientation, every person of every economic group. Opening the door is the solution. Opening the door is the hope. Holding it is not good enough anymore. And for those of you that are music aficionados, let me say this. The great Leonard Cohen had a wonderful song which says, there are cracks in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. There are cracks, my friends, in society today. There are cracks like coronaviruses. There are cracks like terrible, unspeakable crimes that are race-based. There are cracks, but you can be the light. I believe you will be the light. And I want you to look at the unique experience you're having now of facing the challenges of coronavirus and hanging together, of persevering no matter what. That you will learn, I believe, in the future. When you look back at it, you will see that that was a time which steeled you to your purpose, which reminded you that you, to quote Martin Luther King again, you shall overcome. I'm handing it to you. It is your turn. We will be there with you. We will support you. But you are the future. You are the leaders. Open the crack and let the light come in. Thank you and congratulations.